Welcome to the Mixed Race Belonging podcast, where we explore the intersection of mixed identity and belonging through the lens of somatics and personal and collective liberation to help you heal your belonging wounds and reconnect with your innate wholeness through relationships, new experiences, and activism. I'm your host, Raina LaGrand, an embodiment coach for mixed race people with a background as a trauma therapist, yoga teacher, and health educator. The tools and insights I share with you here are the approach that has not only helped me heal my belonging wound, but also helped me help my mixed race clients do the same. We all need something good to belong to right now. Relationships and spaces where we feel safe, held, seen, heard, and dignified. Thanks for being here, and let's get started with today's show. Welcome back to the podcast and Happy New Year, my friends. Happy New Year. Just a reminder that next Monday, January 12th, I am hosting my free 60-minute Somatics of Belonging workshop focused on how to help you as a mixed race person boldly reclaim belonging from the inside out and the outside in, even if you don't currently feel like you actually fit in anywhere. And today's episode is definitely a taste of what's to come in that workshop. I'm going to be talking about nervous system regulation, which is such a sexy topic right now. And you're going to start to see how somatics can help you in healing your belonging wounds and decolonizing your body, decolonizing your identity so that you can go after the life, the relationships, the experiences that you want without shame. So we are just going to jump right into it. Let's get down to business. To defeat the Huns. Everybody loves that song, right? So let's get down to business. So if you are someone who feels like you need to be regulated, calm, or healed to be worthy of connection, I want to stop you right there and change your mind a little bit. And I really get it because in the era of Instagram psychology, there are so many posts about somatics and nervous system regulation, and it really gives the impression that dysregulation is a problem, that dysregulation is why you are struggling in your life and in your relationships. And yeah, I mean, if you are running around like a chicken with your head cut off or like constantly popping off at people left and right, that's going to make relationships hard. But but this nervous system quote unquote regulation piece is only one piece of the puzzle, and it might not actually be the one that you need, at least not all of the time. And that's because being quote unquote dysregulated or activated, whatever language you want to use, is actually pretty damn appropriate given that the world is in collapse. The world is on fire and the firefighters are nowhere to be found. They are nowhere to be found. Where are the hot firefighters? We need them. So your anger, your sadness, your anxiety, your rage, your despair is actually your body responding in a perfectly appropriate and congruent way given the situation. So, I just want to problematize this conversation about nervous system regulation um, because, you know, even when people just tell you to calm down, like, has that ever been effective advice? What probably happens is that it just causes this tension inside of you. On the one hand, you're fucking freaking out. And on the other hand, you're being told that your freaking out is too much for others, right? And that tension ends up creating like this pressure cooker situation. There's all this energy inside of you with nowhere to go. There's a lot of different kinds of somatics out there, and I have deep respect for the diversity of body-based approaches to healing. But a lot of what you see on Instagram is just colonialism repackaged for capitalist purposes. Like, I can make you calm and worthy for the price of $97, or you will never feel anger again, or heal your pain forever. Like, a lot of that, like, always, never, forever kind of language is is just not like the reality, right? Especially when being dysregulated is really congruent to the situation that we're in or the life that you've experienced. I had someone in a group recently who was living in DC when the National Guard was deployed by you know who, Voldemort, and we were doing a lot of nervous system education in this course that I was facilitating. And they were like, "I feel like I'm not getting the most out of this course because the National Guard is here, and so I'm actually just dysregulated all the time." And I was like, "No, no, 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 no. That is your body actually responding in a perfectly appropriate way. We are not building tools for you to regulate yourself perfectly. We are building tools for you to have capacity in your nervous system to, yes, sometimes be able to regulate yourself and sometimes be able to just hold, contain, and witness what's actually just happening in your body and letting that dysregulation come up and do what it is meant to do, right? This dysregulation is a stress response in the body, and when we can allow it to do what it's meant to do, it usually will like move to some sort of completion at some point, or it'll continue to be dysregulated because that makes sense. Um, I just want to be straight up that the kind of somatics I practice is not about regulating yourself in some performative way that makes you ready for connection. The kind of somatics that I practice and teach is about helping you to grow your capacity to hold all that's inside of you, including the dysregulation, so that you can come alive. Decolonizing our bodies, learning these nervous system skills is really, it should be a rewilding process. It should be a way that we start to remember that we are animals, we are nature, and that our bodies actually know what to do. And that intellect is sometimes just white supremacy disguised as advice or perspective. Animals, non-human animals, they know how to let their dysregulation and like stress response cycle complete, right? When you see a dog shake off after like running around or getting scared, that is the body completing that stress response cycle. And so, if you can create the space for your body to rewild, of course, in a way that feels safe enough, which I help people do, you're actually going to make yourself more available for connection because you're going to be able to let people actually see you in your wholeness. And that's going to also give them permission to do the same thing. Really interesting research shows that people of color are actually not as dysregulated as like pop culture would like you to think. Like actually in a lot of situations, people of color, marginalized people are actually like super hyper regulated because we are always monitoring ourselves in a world where we're navigating like primarily white institutions and policing and white supremacy. So we're like hyper regulated actually. We're actually too regulated. So I think of course that's a safety response and there's no shame in that, and also like becoming resistant to the state and the way the state is in our body is, that part of that is like rewilding and allowing for our dysregulation and not shaming ourselves when we get triggered or dysregulated. So the work that I do with clients, like, I want you to know that if you get triggered or dysregulated, it doesn't mean that you're stuck or that you're going backwards. When you work with me, you will start to understand this dysregulation just as a normal thing that your body does and needs support to move through. Yes, I will teach you grounding, regulating, centering skills, but more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to engage your curiosity to build your capacity for what's happening inside your body. Because I want you to be able to be with the dysregulation, with the triggered feelings, to understand them, to witness them without getting sucked even deeper into an anxiety or a shame vortex, to be able to sort of step back and trust yourself, trust your body to move through this process. And yeah, along the way, you're going to feel probably less and less triggered, less insecure, more confident, more resilient. But, the key is really that because you won't be so afraid of dysregulation or getting triggered, you won't avoid so much doing scary things because it's not going to feel like a deal breaker that dysregulation might. And I'm going to talk more about this in the somatics of belonging workshop. I'm also actually going to open the workshop with a practice that I teach all of my clients. This practice engages the curiosity parts of your brain, so it'll help you build your capacity by being able to witness your experience and kind of take the edge off when you feel super dysregulated. When it comes down to it, you deserve relationships where you can be dysregulated. You deserve relationships where you can be validated in your dysregulation, held in your dysregulation, and yeah, forgiven for the ways that you might make mistakes in that dysregulation. Because if we can't make mistakes in our relationships, then that's not actually a relationship. That's not actually belonging. That is performance. That is perfection. That is just fake. You also deserve to turn to relationships as a source of co regulation rather than feeling like I need to self regulate, self regulate, self regulate. I need to regulate before I enter the relationship, before I, you know, start dating or whatever. We are actually designed to co-regulate. And yes, trauma sometimes makes it hard for us to actually be able to be in that process of co-regulation, but it's a skill that we can rebuild. It is, the way that we heal in our relationships. So, like I said, in the Somatics of Belonging workshop, I'm going to be sharing more about how I help my clients build their nervous system capacity instead of focusing on self regulation so that they can feel safe, empowered to go after the relationships, the experiences, and the life they want. And I want this for you too. So, I hope that you'll join us on January 12th. That's this upcoming Monday from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Free 60-minute workshop. There's going to be a link in the show notes for you to sign up, and I can't wait to see you there.